So today we'll be looking at another smart contract. We've looked at the vote contract,
Okay.
and you can practice that. Or if you have any question, you can let me know. We'll be writing the code for the bank contracts. It will be quite simple, and later on we'll try to upgrade it. We'll try to upgrade it.
Okay.
So,
Ọjà tún di sọ́ọ̀rì dá.
you know, when we write a contract code, yeah, we try
Why
to
was it at the
deploy it,
corner?
and when you deploy it, you have some
Hello?
buttons at this left hand
Good
side.
evening.
Yes.
So
You don't see
later
me
on, we
go.
will not be using Remix.
Okay, don't worry.
We'll be using VS Code.
Okay.
But on VS Code, you
Okay.
have to create your
No,
own testing
I'll use
environment
materials.
where you test
Oh,
all the functions and if they are working properly with your testing environment. So you will not be
oh,
using the buttons that you have on
okay.
Remix gives you these buttons free of charge and
Maybe that one. Maybe
without you doing
that
any
Okay.
stress. So but
white
with
room. All
VS Code
those.
you are not living in the Remix environment and you try to create your own environment to do all these things. You
Oh,
understand? All
yeah.
right. So to create our bank contract, we'll come to file, we'll create a new file. I'll name it bank lesson.saw, and I'm going to write our XBDS license identifier. I'll just leave it at MIT. Usually I'll be leaving most of the licenses at MIT
Okay.
since we are just learning. So we'll write after this we'll write our contracts solidity version
Oh,
statement pragma
Pragma.
What you no go
solidity
see me like?
version
How one
0.2.
can do
I
that
will
with
keep on
me?
using
Sometimes
version
say we no do this
0.2
one. I will let you
like
spoon and
this.
full of
And
food.
after this we'll write
You know how to
contract.
take it. You need
The
to
name of
call
the
clock.
contract is bank
Never do it.
lesson,
After is equal.
and I'll open curly braces like this. So everything I will write inside here will be the code for my bank contract.
Okay.
So like I
But me, I
said
never
before,
yet
if you are
do
building a project, you have to think of what you are building.
it.
So that will
Yeah,
guide
yeah,
you
yeah.
on how you are going to
Ayawo
draft
ọ̀rọ̀ wà
out
lẹ́nu. Ayaba náà lọ.
your
Wọ́n
code.
ẹ̀ kì í
You
ìrẹsì
understand?
àwọn
So if I'm building a
ọ̀tọ̀.
Okay.
bank contract, I want people to do what? To deposit, to withdraw, right?
Yes.
To do certain things. So we can make the bank contract simple such that people can deposit and they can withdraw their
Okay.
money. You get. We can even do the form of
Yeah.
a piggy bank, whereby when people deposit,
Okay.
until after
After
some
some
time
time.
have elapsed before they can withdraw.
Mm.
You
Okay.
understand? And you can also
Yeah.
put an interest rate such that people deposit and after a while they get interest. You understand?
Okay.
All right. So and if we want people to deposit and withdraw, if they are depositing, they will deposit um into the bank. You get.
Okay.
So they're depositing into a bank. You get. The bank has a summary of all the deposits. So
Okay.
if for example you are
No
the
be dis
bank
people she go
now,
dey carry.
a person is the bank. For
Yeah.
example, Peter is the bank,
Na
and many people
Yes.
are coming to drop money with Peter.
wait to sef no be my
Peter will
wa.
have in Peter's wallet. Peter will have so much amount of money
Mo yaba mo ti mi
from
seven
different
Yeah.
people,
days.
and because Peter is operating as a bank,
Nítorí àwọn ọdẹ ní
these
ìfọ.
people that drop money with him, they might want to come and get their money later on. So Peter must keep
Yes.
record of each person's what balances.
Account balance.
You understand? So because of that, we have
No,
to
she said that you put on, so it was okay
um,
for this.
probably let's just begin with writing some mappings. So we have to do some mapping. So we are
But
going
you
to
know, one
map.
of the
So because in this case we are using wallet addresses of people, right?
Yes.
So we are going
I hope
to
you take your
map
loan.
address to how much
They have.
they have. So that amount will be an unsigned what?
Not true, but I
Integer.
don't know for some it's not considered.
Okay.
And we'll call
That's
it
what
what?
about to say.
Call this mapping balances. So if we want to
You
get
put
the
on the
balance
different
of
place in
somebody,
money.
it will be balances of address to give you the amount the person have. Do you understand?
Yes.
Something like this. Balances of address. You get like
I understand.
so this will give you the amount. So we also want to
No, that's what
do something like um so we want somebody to own this bank. You get because the bank somebody must be an admin of the bank, right? And
Yes.
like the Web2 banks we know,
Manager.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. When there is an issue, they try to pause maybe withdrawals. You understand? So the admin does that. So we are going to
Okay.
have an admin, which will be a what? An address. And we call that we make it public so that anybody can see who is the owner of this contract and we name it what?
Okay.
Owner. You get. So I'll keep on adding to this. So
Okay.
yeah, let me just declare my. As you are thinking of what to type, you remember more things to include.
Okay.
Constructor. So this is a
No, I feel the
constructor
correct oil
contract.
says
You
something.
understand what it does. So I will include this constructor contract, which says I will set the owner. So when this contract is deployed, it will set the
Everybody
owner
does
to
it.
the wallet that was deployed the contract. You understand?
But
And also, do we do something like an interest rate for deposits if we are for this bank contract? Should we leave it out for now? Maybe later we
No,
add it.
we've not done that one.
No, with like I mean in your bank contract you can add different functionalities. So you can do
Okay,
it the
okay,
way
yes,
that
I
it's just
understand.
deposit and withdrawal. You can do it the way that you can add interest rates. Like your bank gives interest rates based on how long people deposited their money.
yeah.
I know.
Yes. I'm asking, should we just do the simplified one, just deposit and withdraw, or should we include
Let's
interest?
do the other one.
Okay. So let's declare a variable an unsigned integer and call it um should I make it private? Let me make it let me
But
make it
when we
internal.
take what we do another folder,
Do you know the difference between internal and
we want
private?
to
Internal.
Private as visibility types.
I know that public can be accessed by anyone, while private can only be accessed by
The contract.
um usually contracts.
Okay. Yes, private can only be accessed inside the contract by the same contract. But for
Yes. Internal cannot be accessed outside the contract. Okay.
But it can be accessed um it can be it can be inherited by other contracts. That
With private
it can be
and
used by other contracts.
but it cannot be accessed by the same contract.
It can be used inside the same contracts. Like I can write a function. If I have a function that
Hmm.
is internal, for example, if I have a function that is internal, you get. I can let's
Yes.
say let me call this function and let me call it it. I can have another function that uses inside the same contract that after writing the
Yes.
contract, the function code, I will come now and now write what it's
Internal.
inside the curly
Okay.
braces. So with internal, I can call the function, the internal function inside another
Okay.
function inside the contract. You
Wait,
get
I want to
with
understand
you
the
can do
difference.
this like calling it inside this function can be done by both internal and what private.
No, I want to understand the main difference between private and internal.
And that's what
Because
I'm
I'm used
saying
to
now.
public and private.
That's what I'm saying now.
Okay.
The difference between private and internal is that
Okay.
private cannot be inherited from other contracts.
Okay, 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 I understand.
It cannot be inherited from other. It's just like somebody inheritance means something like this. Maybe there is a recipe menu, a manual for cooking rice.
Yes.
Then somebody has received that contract that this is how you cook rice. So probably
Yes.
or you want to use cooking rice inside your own contract. You can just pick that person's manual. That means you are inheriting from that manual. You get.
I understand
Uh-huh.
inheritance and I know
Okay.
normal inheritance.
Okay, good. So that is when between internal and private. Then external can
Okay.
only be called from outside, cannot be called from inside. Public can be called from anywhere,
Okay.
can be used anywhere.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay, I understand now.
Okay. So I'm going to declare this visibility as internal and I'll name it deposit timestamp. So this one will record the time that people deposited their money.
That each customer deposited.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will record the time that somebody deposited their funds. You understand? You get?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so and okay.
Baby, tell your phone, my phone is
I'm going
5%.
to
King. I
write
want to
some
accept it.
functions
Okay,
now.
that guy. So this one is the first with the first, so I go so select the power. Bye-bye.
I'm going to write a function that says deposit. So this function does it helps users to what? Let me just leave a comment here. So this function
Okay.
help any user to deposit money into the contracts. You get. And also,
Yes,
I
I
want to do
understand.
something else. Apart from okay, before I write this deposit function, apart from the owner of this contract, I want to have other administrators that can do certain things. So if for example there is an issue
Okay.
with the bank,
Okay.
the owner might not be available at that moment. So other people should be able to do some
Yeah.
things like freezing operations. You understand?
Just like VP and others.
Yeah. So I want to do a
Just like
mapping.
VP and some top level.
I will do a mapping that says
Okay.
I will map an address to a what? To a boolean for that purpose.
Okay.
And I will name this mapping is admin. You understand? I'll name it is
Okay.
admin so that if I want to check if somebody is an admin, I will say it's admin of the particular address. Is it true or false?
Okay.
You understand? So let me start writing
Yeah.
my deposit function. So this function, I'm going to make it public, or it's better you make it external because external saves gas more than public.
I'm not going to
You understand?
Okay.
External is because when you call all
Okay.
these functions, you are spending, the person that calls is spending gas. So you want to save gas for your users, the fees they pay
Okay.
for their transactions to run. So I'll make it external
Okay.
and a deposit function. It means you are sending money to a bank. You understand? You know, when we deploy this contract will have its own wallet address, like I showed to you in the last class.
you need to
Yes.
connect with me.
The
Yes.
contract will have its own wallet address, different from the owner's address. Every contract has a wallet
What do you do
address.
with your
Yes.
area?
So
Any
because we
meeting,
are
don't come here.
where are we
Yes.
depositing to? We are
Welcome.
depositing
Any
inside
for you.
the
So,
contract
TDS minutes, yes.
address.
Any
You understand?
if
So
no, as
because
my name never replied
this
them,
Yes.
contract can
I
receive
never start.
money, we'll name it
And
payable.
that is the market. Everybody
You
knows
get?
that. Oh, you tell on, put it on
Any
the. I don't
Yes.
see person
yes,
wey sabi say hold my
if the
hand. You
contract
can't tell
does not
them
receive
anything.
money, we don't name it what?
That's why I
Payable.
still want to to learn.
You
This is
understand?
something.
So we
Okay.
name it payable. Then we can do some um
How much you pay for
what are
this
we
one?
depositing? We are depositing
I
money,
wanted to
right?
buy vaccine.
Should be an unsigned
No, what you
integer.
do for?
Yes.
So we deposit.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
If you said external can be inherited.
No,
You
external.
can't stop on that.
I'm not so sure about external. It's internal I mentioned that can be inherited.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking if we make it external, it means if somebody deposit, it's supposed to be something private.
The
So won't
external
other people
itself.
that will call that
No, it's
this to be
the
able to
private doesn't
see?
mean that other people will not see it.
Okay. Okay.
That's not what it means. It only means that other people, no one can call it. Even the deployer of the contract, the owner cannot call it
No,
from
what I'm talking about
outside.
is view.
You say?
Like if somebody like in Python, if you inherit something, you can probably see like the code of that maybe that module you inherited or that whatever.
Yes.
So if this account, that is this deposit account, we put it as external, that is, let's assume we can inherit it now.
Okay.
Let's just say we can. Does it mean that the person or the another code or another section of code calling that can access the deposit, that is the let's say somebody deposited now, does it mean that person can access to see, or that is view, view versus like view versus edit versus comment in work Google Drive?
Okay. The thing is that everything is public on the blockchain. You understand? The blockchain is a transparent ledger, digital ledger. So whatever you
Okay.
do, even if you did not
Okay.
inherit or whatever you do is visible. So, but this inherit
Okay.
itself,
I
the
understand now. Okay,
okay,
because they are is written as address. That okay. I was thinking it was like normal traditional bank where the people's details. This
no,
one they map it to addresses instead of
yes,
banker's name. Okay, I understand.
everything
Okay.
is public. So the only thing is that you will not really know the person that did a
Okay.
particular operation with a particular address. But if you know that this address
Okay,
is
okay,
meant for
okay.
James, you can actually track all James operations on the blockchain because it's public. That's how it was
Okay.
made. You get. All right. So what we are depositing um amount and unsigned it. So I will just name it as amount. I don't need to put memory because unsigned integer is simple for Solidity to handle. It's not like a string where you have to
Okay.
include memory. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will do some required
Okay.
statements. But before that, okay, let me do some required statements. So I want to require that the okay okay. I don't think we need to use amount here. You get? I don't think we need to use amount here
Okay.
because by the time we deploy it, we can easily there's a place in this remis
Yeah.
that you can actually put value or whatever you are. So deposit, there's a way they map deposit to this remis UI. So
Okay.
and the capture is using MSG value. So we will require that MSG. We have MSG sender. So MSG value is the amount in the person's wallet.
Okay.
So we want to require that the amount in the person's wallet is greater than what? 0.
MSG.
Value
Okay.
dot value, which is
Okay. Okay.
the amount
Initially
in
to
the
be
person's
zero.
wallet. MSG dot sender is the person's wallet address. So
Okay.
we want to require that the amount in the person's wallet is
Okay.
greater than what? 0. Or else we throw this error.
Zero.
Insufficient balance.
Okay.
Insufficient
Okay.
wallet balance, just to be clear.
Balance.
You get. So let me write a modifier here
Yeah.
to talk about only owner. So this modifier will only restrict only owner to some functions where I use it. So yeah, I require that
Yeah.
MSG the sender is equal to is the same as owner, or else
Okay.
we've said that only owner can call this function. So whatever function we use this for.
Can call the function.
So
Okay.
after doing this, in modifier, you still come down here. So later on I will show you
And put that.
why we have this
Okay.
like this. Why this symbol was added.
Okay.
So it's because of something. They call it reentrancy. So whereby, okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
So, but this is how you write modifiers. You get. All right. So then, after we require this, is there another thing that we can require? So you have to think of the loopholes. You get. So we still have to check against reentrancy, but we'll do that later. So, but what we can do now is that we'll update. We have a mapping here called what? Balances. So we will say that the balances. So if you remember any required statement again, we can add it at the top of this balance.
Yes.
So we'll say that balances of the we map. We say balances. We map address to unsigned integer.
Yes.
So we say balances inside it we have address, but this time around the address is the person that called this function. Is msg dot sender.
Yeah.
You understand? Then we do plus or equals to, so by default the balance will be what? Will be
It's
zero.
supposed to be zero initially,
It will be
or
zero
the current
initially.
balance.
Let me declare a variable here. Let me see.
Your code.
So we'll declare a variable that says, let me just call it public balances. You understand?
Yeah.
So we can say plus or equals, okay, plus equals to msg what? Value, right?
Yes.
Okay, it seems to be, has to be a type mapping or array.
I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen again. Okay,
Yes.
let me reshare.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
No. Okay, yes, I can see it now.
Okay, it seems we don't really need this. Since we already did the mapping. Let me see. We don't need to declare a state variable for this, for balancing, since we already have the mapping. Yeah. So what this does is that it just updates the balances of that person and add. So by default, the balance will
Okay.
be zero. It will add, and so you have to put this equals to, so that it will assign the value of how much was deposited. You understand? You get.
Yeah.
So this deposit function,
Yes, I understand.
we update the person's balances, and this payable we update the contract balance. You understand?
Okay.
Updating the contract balance and updating the person balance is
I
two different
understand.
things. All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to have. Okay, let me work with the let me undo the admin and cases first.
Okay.
So we have this mapping here that describes an admin. You get. So let me do it. Write a function that does what? Function that
Yes.
function does say add admin. So we call this function public, and we want this function to be called only by the owner.
Okay.
So only the owner can delegate admin rights to other people. You get.
Yeah.
So, and when we do this, we'll require. So if we are adding admin, we have to put in the address that we are adding as admin. You get. So inside these two
Okay.
brackets, we write the variable we are putting inside here is a type of what? Address. Data type is address. Then
Okay.
we will now add what? Like something like this. Let me just use ADDRO instead. So this ADDRO
Okay.
is the variable, and this one, the address, is the type. You get. So we require that
Okay.
we require that address, that is the person we want to make admin, require that person
Admin.
is not an address zero. Address zero is a dead address.
Okay.
So this address zero
Okay.
is they call it born address in blockchain. Born address. Like if people create a
Okay.
smart contract, maybe a token smart contract,
Okay.
and maybe there's a born mechanism. If they create the token contract,
Yeah.
they say that the total amount of token that will be in circulation maybe will be
Yeah.
10 million. And they said, okay, every year we'll be burning 500,000 tokens every year. So when they burn that 500,000 token for the first time, the supply will reduce from 10 million to 9,500,000. You understand? So where the remaining 500,000 that was burnt, yeah, it was sent to. We don't want to send the. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So we don't want to set the address. We want to add as admin as the born address. That is this dead address. Because if we okay, for example, if we are not even setting admin to born, let's say we are setting the in this place
Okay.
here, we now set owner here to address 0. Nobody will be able to control this contract will be useless. Nobody will be able to do any admin thing because that address nobody can have access to it. It's just there and it's a dead address. So we don't want to set the address to a born address. So we write
Yeah.
this. We require that
Okay.
address is not equals to. You get?
Mm.
And we'll throw this error.
But
Uh,
yeah, you wrote equals to.
I've
It's
changed it.
supposed to be exclamation mark before.
I've changed it. Can you see
Okay,
my
okay.
screen?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. So I will throw this error. Address cannot be a 0 address. Then
Okay.
we also require that the address that we are adding is not equals to the owner address.
Okay.
So we'll throw this error.
Huh.
Owner cannot be.
Cannot also be an admin or something.
No, owner can also be, but owner already has all the privilege. So let's just say owner already has all the
Yeah, it's
privilege.
already the main.
Because by the time we
Okay.
go into Solidity libraries, yeah, we'll use the open Zeppelin. They have this
Okay.
access control whereby you give admin rights. You get it's just like a principal now who has the master key
Mm.
to the school,
Yeah. Then
but
maybe some senior teachers.
decide to inside the bunch of master keys now, he decide to give some of the keys
Mm.
to some of the teachers. You get so those keys he gave to those teachers. Probably those keys
I understand access
are for
control.
some classroom. The principal itself cannot have access to those
Yeah.
classrooms except he wants to duplicate those keys.
Okay.
You get so the owner can still be admin too. But yeah, I'm just pretending that
Okay.
owner already has all the privileges
Yeah.
as the error.
Okay.
Okay. Why is this throwing red? Okay, I've not ended this statement here. Alright. So what I will do now, after doing this, I'm going to say is admin. That is this mapping now. Is admin of the address I want to add as admin.
Yeah.
Is equals to what? The boolean. So what is the boolean?
Yeah.
True. So when I call this function is going to
It's
check the.
supposed to throw a boolean or something.
Yes, when I call this function, it will check all these required statements. Then if it passes, if all the required statement passes, it's going to go to this mapping and set the address and make this address to be an admin. So it's admin of the address. The address here is the. So it's going to check this required statement, and if it passes, it's going to take the address that was passed in into this function as argument, and so it's going to be is admin, and I will set it, equals to is an assignment operator. So it's going to set is admin of this address as what? True. Can you hear me?